Hello friends, welcome to Edwiki Learning channel. Please do subscribe to get more updates on the DevOps concepts. This video is part of the full course AWS DevOps Practitioner training. Please do check the description below to get the link for the complete full course. Without further delay, let's get into the video. Thank you.
Welcome back everyone, and let's continue our discussion. Hope you are excited to have these sessions. And yes, definitely I'm sure most of you folks are waiting for getting started with the core concepts. When I say core concepts, right, getting out of this Linux, right, getting into the core DevOps and those technologies, right? But still, yeah, we need to have the basics handy, guys. Okay. So like everyone will wait for the let's say when we are watching the movie, and I'm sure like everyone will be waiting for the climax, but yeah, without introducing all the characters, right? So the story will not run, right? So that's how it's kind of, right? So I'm trying to get to the core concepts as soon as possible, but yeah, I'm trying to see the sequencing as well, right? Not to miss out any of the single basic, because I'm trying to give the all the introductory of the terminologies that we are going to use in further sessions, because I'm sure I will never ever use any terminology without introducing you guys or assuming that you already know, right? That's how I'm planning the things. Hope you are all good with that. And with that note, let me quickly get started with the session. So our goal is to be comfortable with the Linux operating system and configure a Linux operating system as per our business needs, correct? So quickly, let me go to AWS Management Console and let me create one simple EC2 instance in the US East 1 region, right? I'll simply fill up this form again. So initial days, I'm trying to create an instance, right, in every session at least, so that you guys are a bit familiar with this instance creation process, right? So now it's quick. I can go to default Amazon Linux AMI, default T2.micro. Let me choose my key pair from the list. Don't do anything in the networking settings. No changes in advanced and summary, nothing, right? So simply come down and click on launch instances. Well, the instance is deployed. I will quickly grab the public IP of this instance and I will be logging in from my partition. So I'll just get this public IP. I will go to my Patty software and I'll use this saved session. Load the saved session and let me replace this IP address and let me logging into this server with the default username ec2-user. As we already know that the ec2-user is the ordinary user, does not have full permissions, right? Hence the reason I'm switching to the root user, which is the super user, has complete administrative access on the Linux operating system. So now let me clear the screen. So by default, if you have logged in to the ordinary user, you will be getting the dollar prompt as the bash prompt symbol. If you have logged in as a super user, you will be getting the bash prompt symbol as a hash. That's how the technical difference. That just to quickly understand that in which type of the user you currently logged in. The moment when you see hash, you are in root login. So should be a little careful when you logged in as a ROVT user, because this is a super user and it can delete or can do any destructive operations as well on this Linux operating system, right? So I think we were trying to understand the Linux file and directory hierarchy, right? In which order the parent and the child relationship of the files and directories in the Linux system, right? So as part of that, we have understood that the concepts like a root directory, home directory, right? And the absolute path, isn't it? So let me go to the same concept again now to deal a few other concepts. Okay, so maybe I'll try to draw a simple scenario so that I'm trying to implement the same in our system. This is just to have some, let me see if I have the PPT available for the same. I'm not fan of using the paint, right? So I will use the same hierarchy, right? Whatever I see here, right? I don't want to use the paint. So let's say this is the directory structure that I'm looking for, right? And now let me try to create them in the sense, uh, right? Currently, some of the directories might have been already exist, and some of them are not exist. So whichever is not already there, I will try to create them today, right? So how do you ensure that which directories are already there, which are not already present in the system, guys? Maybe beginning days, it's very best practice to see the list of files and directories start from the root directory, correct? So first you see what and all available under the root directory. Then you go and start looking into each and every directory. That's how you can keep on looking into the subdirectories to see all the list of files and directories in the system, isn't it? So let me follow the same structure and see whichever the directories are the files that are missing, right? I'll try to create them, okay, in a different ways to cover up the different scenarios that we do have here, right? So to get start with, let me do pwd command to see in which directory at this moment, right? So currently I am in /root directory. What does it mean, guys? You see here, this is my present working directory, isn't it? So I'll highlight this with a different color where I am currently. This is my present working directory, right? Just for understanding, right? I just have highlighted this directory with a red color. So this is my present working directory where I'm currently working on. Now my requirement is I wanted to create the missing directories and the files. So let me do what and all files and directories that are available in the root directory. That is a very top level directory, right? Now I can see all of them, right? So if you compare with this, with the plan that I have here, sorry, here, so definitely this directory might have been missing, right? So this is where it is, demo, right? So the demo is the directory which is missing in the first level of entries. So let me create it now. So help me guys with the commands in the chart window. How do I create the demo directory in the root directory, right? So the command would be mkdir demo, right? So I need to ensure that the path, I need to specify the location, right? In which location I wanted to create this directory. If you don't specify the location, as I said, it is going to do in the present working directory. In this case, my present working directory is /root. Is this the requirement, guys? Am I trying to create it in the ROOT as per the plan? No, right? I don't want it under the ROOT. I need it under the root. So the command will be /. Now you verify again. Now under the root directory, now I can see that the directory called demo got created perfectly. Good. Now I'm just preparing few other stuff to make the life easier. This is my plan. I'm just trying to put some plan in place. So please do confirm me guys if there are any issues with the audio. I believe it should be fine, but just in case. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, so I have created this first directory called demo, right? Now let me go on to the next step. So the requirement is under the demo directory, I need one file and one another directory. This is the requirement, right? The second level. So let me see how I can do that. Okay. So first I will be doing the file creation F3. So help me guys with the command to create a F3. So touch, the file name is F3. So where I want to create F3 guys, the location, I need to specify the location, right? It should be under slash, it should be under demo and hit enter. Agree with me? You verify again. So ls, and I wanted to see the list of files and directories under demo directory. So I'm just giving the demo. Now you see that under demo, the file was created. I'm going very slow guys, since it is the beginning of sessions. I will definitely do the speed up the things, right? So this is done. Now let me come back to here again. Now I want to create this dir1, right? So help me guys with the command to create a dir1. So as per this plan, I need the directory under demo directory, which is under the root directory. Well, thanks for the command on the chart window. Now what I'm doing, right, just to make it fun, right? So I want to change my present working directory. Currently my present working directory is root, right? So let me make my demo as a present working directory. How to do that? So I will do a cd/demo. Now you see that currently I'm in the slash demo directory. That is my present working directory. I can always change my present working directory using the cd command, right? And I did it. Now tell me guys the command to create a dir1 directory at this scenario, because I just did this change. My present working directory got changed. Now I wanted to create a dir1 directory. What are the different possibilities are there to create a directory 1? Right? Of course, I can do mkdir/demo/dir1. This command always works, irrespective of your present working directory. Right? This command will work because uh, because it is started with the preceding slash, which is the absolute path, and it will definitely work, right? But can I do this? So I'm not putting any of the preceding slash or of the absolute path, right? I'm just giving that the directory name. Will it work? Yes, it will work, because by default it understands that it has to be in the present working directory, and I'm already in the present working directory, right? And it should work. The small change to that, whenever you are referencing that the command has to be executed considering your present working directory, then you can always mention the path by specifying dot over there. Whenever you give the dot refers a present working directory. That means I'm telling that, hey, this directory has to be created from the present working directory. That is what is the dot is referring to. So now you hit enter, the directory 1 is actually getting created in the present working directory only, which is slash demo. Now you see that under the slash demo folder, the dir1 got created, right? So that means Whenever you are referencing the dot refers present working directory, but referring the dot without dot, both are same, guys. I would say this statement at this time. Are we good with this? Right? Whenever you are mentioning something, right, whether you mention dot slash, whether you don't mention dot slash, you just directly put the name, both are same. It's up to you if you want to follow this relative path method mentioning, or you directly want to mention the name just like that, so that it assumes that it has to be done on the present working directory. Both are same, right? So whenever you are referencing the present working directory by using the dot, which is called as a relative path. This is not the absolute path, this is a relative path because the preceding is dot. Absolute path is always will be having slash as the preceding path. You see this? Sometime back I have used slash as the preceding, right? So which is the absolute path, but now my preceding character is dot, which is referencing to the relative path. That means I'm explicitly telling that, hey, consider the present working directory and create it from there. So which is optional. It's up to you whether you want to use, whether you don't want to use this preceding dot slash. Both will be the same. Are we good with this? Right? And whatever I'm running the commands, right, where these commands are getting executed, guys, these commands are executing in the US East 1 region in the server which was created for me, not on my laptop. Agree with me? The putty screen, whatever the screen that I see, this is just a visualization for me or a screen for me to see. But whatever the commands that you are running, whatever the directories files that are creating, are actually doing it in the server in the US East 1 region of data centers of AWS data centers, and it is actually being done on that servers. If you are creating any file, those are actually getting created in the hard drive that is there in the US East 1 data centers location. Understood, right? And I'm sure uh, that will be a question sometimes, because we are thinking that this is all happening in our laptop. No, we are we have actually connected to the server which is there in the remote location, and we are running the commands to manipulate or to configure the server which is there in the remote location somewhere, right? That's how it works. Now, now just to take a pause here. So if you are interested to know what are all topics that I'm going to cover in each day, you can always look for the course tracker, and here we will be having the different topic names that I will be interested to cover up on that particular day, guys. Okay. Well, coming back to there, yeah, that is what is the relative path method. Now let me move forward quickly. So I'm done with this dir1, right? Now let's say I wanted to create a dir2 directory. Now how to create a dir2 directory? As now you guys know, there are two different ways to specify the path of a file or directory. One is the absolute path, one is the relative path, correct? Now I need the both commands in the chart window, how to create the dir2 using a absolute path, using a relative path. Right? So if you wanted to do the if you wanted to do the absolute path, it will be slash demo slash dir1 slash dir2. So this is the absolute path method. Absolute path is very easy. We just need to follow the complete path, start from the root directory, right? Good. Now, what will be the relative path, guys? The relative path is referencing from the present working directory. So I wanted to start with the dot slash from the present working directory where I am currently. Currently, I am in this demo directory, right? From here, I wanted to go dir1, then create a dir2. So it should be dot slash dir1 slash dir2. Are we good with this? I see some different answers in the chart window, but this is the right one, right? So because I'm telling that, hey, from present location, first you go to dir1 location, then you go to, or you create a dir2. That's how the relative path will work. Good. Now this is done. Now I wanted to create this dir3. Okay, I want to create a dir3. So let me do a one more small change here, just to make this fun. Okay, so this is my present working directory, guys. We can be anywhere, right? So let's say USR is one of the directory. I will make that as a present working directory now. CD slash USR. Let me clear my screen. PWD. Now my present working location is USR directory. My requirement is I wanted to create this dir3 directory. Now I need the both commands again, absolute path method and the relative path methods. mkdir slash demo slash dir1 slash dir2 slash dir3. So this is the absolute path, right? Without me worrying about present location, absolute path always comes from the root directory. So simple, right? Demo 1, 2, 3. Now I need a relative path. A relative path in the sense we need to reference the location starting from the present location. At the moment I'm in this USR location, right? How do I reach from present location to this dir2 location? Because I wanted to create it under this dir2 location, right? If you look into this path, from the present location, I need to go little upside. I need to go little upper side. I need to go to the parent directory. Then you start going to the demo 1, 2, 3, correct? Correct. So from the USR location, if you wanted to reach to this location, you need to go to one level parent. So to go to one level parent directory, the syntax is dot dot. Dot dot is also referencing the relative path. Dot dot referencing the parent directory for your current working location. So whenever you give the dot dot over there, that means from USR location, it will be referencing the one level parent, which is the root directory. Now from the root directory, it will be a demo directory. It will be a dir1, it will be a dir2, and then I wanted to create dir3 and hit enter. Are we good with this? So I'm introducing what is relative path. In the relative path, there are two notations. Dot referencing the present location. Dot dot is referencing to the parent location. Sometimes we need to go towards the parent locations to do something. So then we need to use the dot dot notation. Let me do one more quick exercise, guys, to make this clear. Well, I'm doing some small changes. I will definitely talk about that. Well, now the scenario is ready. So where I am, guys, what is my present working directory? Currently, I am in slash demo slash dir1 slash dir2, correct? And this is my location. Now my requirement is I wanted to create a file called F4. The file is actually in the demo directory, right? As per this. Now, how do I create this F4 file using absolute path, using relative path? Welcoming the comments in the chat, right? I want to create a F4 file, and absolute path is definitely be easy. It is just slash demo slash F4. But what is the relative method? If this is a relative method, right? Currently, I'm in this dir2 directory. If I wanted to go to this location, right? I need to go one level parent directory. I need to go another one level parent directory, then create a F4 file, correct? There are two levels are there, correct? So the command will be dot dot is referencing one parent directory, again one more dot dot referencing one other parent directory, then create a F4 file. That's how it works. Now we can verify that. Slash demo slash dir, sorry, slash demo. You see, under the demo, now the F4 file got created. So this absolute and relative path you can use everywhere, even in the ls command. Ls, I wanted to see under the parent, under the parent. You see, this command giving same output. Here I mentioned the absolute path. Here I mentioned the relative path by referencing the parent directories. Since I need to go to two levels of parent, I need to use two dot dots separating by a slash. Yeah, sorry guys. I would have been used the touch command in this scenario because I'm planning to create a file, right? So it should be a touch command. That should be fine. The overall, the path concept is still be the same. It's just matter of using the touch command there, correct? That's true. So I'll do that again. So maybe I'll remove this rmdir, right? So since the plan is to create a file, let me use the touch command. Make sense? So that is about the dot and the dot dot notation, guys. So you may be asking me now, which one should we be using? It's up to you. Whether you use absolute path, whether you use dot or dot dot, either way it is fine. It's up to your comfort, which one you feel better and easy, which can use anything. Not a worry. It's just matter of telling to server the location where you wanted to get the things done. Are we good with this? Right? Sometimes we may feel absolute path is good. Sometimes we may feel maybe relative path is good. So whichever you feel better, you can just take that preference, guys. Right? There is no hard rule which you need to use. Let me do one other final exercise on this series. Sorry. Yeah, I think this is the last exercise that I wanted to show you guys. So my present working directory is dir3. Now my requirement is I wanted to create a F2 file. The F2 file is actually to be under the dir2 one. Now in this scenario, what do you feel? Having the absolute path is easy or the relative path is easy? I just wanted to show you the difference. You can use anything that you like it, absolute or relative, anything is fine. But what do you think? Absolute path is easy or the relative path is easy in this scenario? Touch. If this is the absolute path, right, we need to referencing it from the top root level directory. There are multiple directories that you need to mention, right? So which is very difficult. If this is a relative path, it's just matter of going to one level upper directory and create it, correct? So that's how sometimes absolute will be easy, sometimes the relative will be easy, guys. For example, at the same node, I wanted to create a same file maybe under the root as an example. So I want to create a file under the root. Now, what do you think? Absolute will be easy or the relative will be easy in this case if I want to create a F2 file under the root location. So since this is directly under the slash, it's better to use absolute path rather relative, because the relative path has to go to one level parent, two level parent, three level parent, four level parents. It's very difficult. So it's better to use touch slash F2. Good. Now let me clear the screen. Right? So now we can use this same concept to create a directory, create a file, remove the directory everywhere. So as we know that the directory is actually to where you can go enter into the directory and start creating few more subfiles and subdirectories. But what about the file? What will be inside the file, right? So the inside the file, there will be some content, right? So how do we add some content in the file? How do we see if the existing file has any content in it? Let's say I have the file here, and what is the content inside this file? To see the content of the file, the command is cat and specify the file name. Now onwards, I'll not show you absolute and relative always case. I'm just using, so you should be understanding this. When I do like this, it is referencing the F2 file in the present working location, right? And it is trying to open the file. If this file is already having the content will be showing as output. If you don't see any output, the file is very empty file. So usually the touch commands will be creating the empty file, which is zero size files. Nothing will be inside. First of all, tell me guys, whenever you do the ls command, you are able to see some output, right? How do you know which is file and which is directory? If it is Windows, basically you will be understanding which is file, which is directory by looking into the representation, right? The folders will have a different format. The files will have a different format. Based on the extension, right, the look and feel of these entries will be differ, and we can easily understand which is folder and which is file. When it comes to the Linux, how do you know which is file and which is directory? Because if this is directory, we can use the cd commands to go inside. If this is the file, we can't go in enter, right? We always need to do cat command to see the content. We should not rely on the color of these entries, because these colors are not standard across all the Linux systems. So to understand which is file and which is directory, we need to run the ls command with the flag called L. Whenever you use the listing command with the L flag, the same directory and files are showing with the long listing format with additional information. The additional information that you see here are called as the metadata information of this file or directory. So the first line is having the details of this particular dir3. The second line is having the details of this second entry. In each line, the very first character is something which will tell you this is the file or a directory. If you look into the first line, right, the first character D refers that this is a directory. In the second line, the first character hyphen refers that this is the file. Are we good with this? Wherever you see that the line starts with a D, that is actually a directory. Wherever you see that the line starts with a hyphen, that is actually a regular file. Now, whenever you have the file with you, I wanted to add some content inside the file, right? So to add the content inside the file or to modify the content of a file, we need to use a editor called VI. Like how you guys are using the notepad editors in the Windows systems, right? Usually you create a simple notepad file in Windows. If you wanted to add a content in the file, you open that with the editors, right? The editor could be a notepad editor, could be a PDF, could be a Microsoft Word, whatever. All these are different type of the editors for you. And you start putting the data wherever the cursor is showing, right? Similarly, if you wanted to add or modify the content inside this file, we need to use the editor called VI and specify the file name, which file that you wanted to modify the data. Whenever you use VI and the file name and hit enter, it will be opening in the VI editor panel. When you are inside the VI editor panel, your bash terminal will not be appeared. You see there is no bash terminal here. Currently, you are inside the file. When you are inside the file, it will accept only the VI editor commands. VI has its own set of commands to manage the file modifications. Now I need to tell to my VI editor that, hey VI editor, this is the content that I wanted to add to this file and please save the file, correct? So when I'm interacting with the VI editor, the VI editor is working in two different modes. One is the command mode, one is the insert mode. When the editor is in command mode, you can pass the commands like, hey, save the file, right? Don't save the file, delete a character, delete the text, replace the text. You got me what I'm trying to? All these are called commands, right? I'm passing some commands to the editor to manage this. So when it is in command mode, then only how to give these commands to the editor. The other one is insert mode. That means whenever I really wanted to have some text to be added to the file, then take it into the insert mode. For example, now by default, when you open the VI editor, the editor will be in the command mode. Currently it is in the command mode. Now what is that I wanted to tell to editor? Hey editor, I wanted to add some content. I want to insert some content. To go to the insert mode, right, we need to give the command called I. In my laptop keyboard, I actually pressed the character called I. Whenever you press I, the I letter is considered as a command, then your editor is turned into the insert mode and it is showing that, hey, now I back to the insert mode. So I is the command which will tell that please go to the insert mode. Now you are in insert mode. Whenever you are in insert mode, when the VA editor is in insert mode, whatever you type in your keyboard, everything will be considered as a text to be taken into the file and the text will be writing up there in the file. This is my file adding some text data, something like this. Whatever the content that you wanted to save in your file, just type your data and save it. Now let's say I want to save the file, right? If I want to save the file, now tell me guys, the VA editor should be in the insert mode or should be in the command mode? Got me? Right? When I want to save the file, that is something I don't want to keep as a text, right? The editor should be in the command mode. Then I can tell to VA editor that, hey, please save the file. So how to go back from insert mode to the command mode? To go back to the command mode, you need to type escape. If you are not going to the command mode, let's say, if I directly type the command, because to save the file, and to come out from the file, the command is :w to save the file. You see, :w, whenever you type in the laptop, it is actually taken as a text in the file. Why it is not taken that as a command? Because it is not in the command mode, right? So whenever you wanted to give the commands, go to the command mode by pressing escape. Now you see that the insert mode is disappeared here. Now you give the command. The command is : you can see that the colon is coming here. W for saving the file, hit enter. Now the file is saved. As long as you are not coming into the insert mode, it will be remains in the command mode only. It is still in the command mode. I want to give one more command. Hey, I'm done with my file changes. Come out from this. :Q. Hit enter. It came out from the editor to your normal bash prompt. If you wanted to see the content of the file, you can use a cat command. Now you see that I have added one line of data to my file. Sounds interesting. That means whenever you are modifying the content in a file, right, the VA editor has command and insert mode. We just need to be aware of how to use this editor. Again, you open the file, the existing content is shown there. Whenever you wanted to add some content, you always go with the command called I to go to insert mode. Now start typing the data. Something wrong. You see here, sometime back it was having text data. Whenever I go to the insert mode, it is started inserting the data before the cursor, which is not expected, right? My existing word disturbed, right? So you can take a choice here. Let me show you again. So let's say currently my cursor is in this position, right? What is your requirement now? You wanted to insert the data before the cursor or after the cursor? That's very important. We will be not worrying about all of these in Windows systems because this is just a graphical user interface, right? Whenever you type some data, wherever you want to add the data, you do the mouse click over there and type the data, right? But here everything is command. So here I don't want the data to be inserted before the cursor, right? I wanted it to be after the cursor, correct? So I is the command to insert the data before the cursor. A is the command to insert the data after the cursor. Now you see, I type the command called A. It is going to the next. Now my data can be added here. Enter. Second line of data added, something like this. So that's how we need to add the data. Whenever you're done with your changes, if you wanted to save the file, type escape to go back to command mode. :W is the command to save the file. Hit enter. Again, you want to modify the content, type I command or A command, insert or append, whichever you feel better, and type the text again. Again, you want to save the file, escape :W. Let's say I wanted to modify something, the existing lines. Let's say here I want to remove the space and remove one extra dot. Some mistake is there. How to do that? So usually the cursor position where the text will be added, I need to move this cursor to the right location where I wanted to do the changes. To move the cursor, I need to tell to VA editor that, hey, the cursor has to go to so and so location, right? Be in the command mode, then use the command called K. K command will move the cursor to the upper lines. L command will move the cursor to the left side. J command will move the cursor to the, H command will move the cursor to the right side. J command will move the cursor to the downside. Now you can decide where you want it to go. Let's say here this white space I wanted to remove. Currently the cursor is in which location? That character I wanted to remove. Removing a character is done by the command called X. Hit X over there. You see that got removed. Again X, one more character will be removed at a cursor position. I fixed this. Now I want to fix here as well. I don't want two dots. H to move the cursor to the right place where I wanted to. Remove the character, type the command called X, and one more character. Yes, that's how it is. So yes, we need to be familiar about all the VI editor related commands to manipulate the data. Whenever you are done the changes, right, just save the file. Sometimes you do some changes, but you don't want to do the saving, right? Save without change, right? So if you try to quit from the file, it will throw error that, hey, you made some changes and you did not save. If you don't want to save the changes, then the command is Q exclamatory. Exclamatory is to force quit. Hey, don't save the changes, just come out. You see, the modifications are not saved. All these dots are still there. I open the file again. Now quickly I can just do some changes. So I can move the cursors to the right location and just do the things. Like that, there are many many VI commands, guys. Let's say here after dot, let's say this should be uppercase, but lowercase is there. I want to replace this. Replacing a character is done by a R command. You type R, then it will consider that I'm trying to replace with the next character. Then you type uppercase A, that will be get replaced with a new character. Cool stuff. So DD, if you type D command twice, D and then D immediately, it will remove the entire line. U command to undo the changes to the previous again. Once you're familiar with the VA editor, how it works, right? Just matter of looking into the different VA editor commands that are available, right? And then just practice them up. As of now, I'm using some sample data just to show how the VA editor works, but we will be using the editor very frequently to do some configuration changes related to our business needs. So the at least some important VA editor related commands that we should be get familiar with are available in our portal, right? We just need to be familiar about these commands. You see the meaning of each and every command. So we just need to experience these, how it will work when you are in the VA editor, guys. Hope we are good with this now. So if we are good on this side right now, I wanted to switch the gear and I wanted to move on to the Linux process. So there's a concept of Linux process. We'll talk about that. So all the commands that you are running here, right? Let me show you one command. Let's say a touch command only, right? All the commands that you are running in here, these commands are actually some sort of script files that are available in the server itself, and those files are being executed to generate an output for you guys. If I talk about the touch command as an example, whenever I use the command called where is the touch command, it will tell that the touch command is actually a file that is available in the location called /usr/bin/touch. You see, so touch is actually a file, guys. Isn't it? You see, it is actually started with a preceding hyphen that tells that this is actually a file. Okay, touch is actually the file name. This file is available under the bin directory, under the usr directory, which is under the root directory. So this is the absolute path where this touch file is available. But what is there in this file? If this is the file, we can see the content, right? Isn't it? Usually if it is the file, we can read the content using cat command, right? Sometime back I have seen the content of our sample file. So let me try to see if I can read this content. So the content is not a readable format here, right? That means, sorry, right? That means the touch is a file, but this is not a regular file, guys. What is regular file? Regular file is a file where the content will be in a readable format where I can understand it. But this content I'm not able to read. So this is not a regular file. Then what it is? This file is called as a binary file. That means the data inside this file is not a human readable format, which is the binary file. So which is also called as a command file or also called as a script file. Binary file is actually a right terminology, but we can also call it as a command or a script file. Usually when we install the Linux operating system, right, all the binary files will be get created under the USR directory location. All these binary files are actually acting as like a commands for you. That means whenever you run the touch command in the backend, what is happening? In the backend, it actually calling this file, and this file is being executed to make your file generation. I'll show you what does it mean now. You see a touch F5. Now I'll run this command. I'll call this a complete absolute path. Now let me do a F6 for there. Both are same, guys. You see, I got F file created. I got F6 created. F5 is created using the touch command. F6 is also created using touch command only, but I have used the complete absolute path of the touch command file where exactly the command related the script is there. Are we good with this? So that means the USR bin is the standard location where all the commands will be available. If you go to USR bin location and look for the list, right? You see all these are the files. Each file is actually a command, guys. There are many, right? You see the cat command is there, cal command is there, cd command is there, right? And right, you can see like other commands we did not discussed yet, right? But yes, all the commands are here, right? We can see the pwd command. So like basically most of the commands are available in this location only. These are actually the files containing some script inside. So these files are being called. So what does it mean, guys? Whenever you run any command, what is exactly is happening, right? So let's say whenever you run a command, here I'm taking the ls command as an example, but it could be any command that you like it, touch or mkd or whatever it is, right? So whenever you run the command has its own specific absolute path where the file is located, right? In this case, you see the ls command is available in /usr/bin/ls. That is the location where the ls script is there. That script is being executed by your processor, correct? So what's happening behind the screen? Whenever you run the command, the file which has that specific script, that file is being called, that file is being loaded it into the memory, right? So loading the command into the memory is called as a process creation. That means whenever you run the command, the process will be created. What does it mean by the process created? Process created in the sense the command related information will be get loaded into the memory space. You all know, right? Your system will have the memory and the processor, correct? RAM and the processor, correct? So whenever you run the command, your command related stuff, details will be get loaded it into the real memory. The moment when your command is loaded into the real memory, we will be calling it as a process created. So can I use this statement at this time? When you run ls command, the ls process is created. Whenever you run a touch command, the touch process is created. Is it the right statement to understand this? Yes. So the terminology process created means your command is actually loaded into the memory because that has to execute now because you asked the system to execute it. Whenever the process is created, right, each and every process will have the ID generated just to track that process, which is called as a process ID. This is very mandatory that the process has to be created, the process ID has to be created for any activity that is happening on your system. Whenever you run any command, it just loaded into the memory, process is created, process ID is created, then that process will be scheduled for the processor. Why? At end of the day, the processor is the one who is responsible to execute your command and generate a output, correct? Let's say here my requirement is ls command. What is the output that you are expecting? I want the list of files and directories in the location where I wanted to write. That's output. Who will generate the output? Processor is the responsible guy to understand the command, execute the command, and give you the output. But your command will not go to processor directly. Always your command will be loaded into the memory. Then from the memory, it has to be scheduled. If there are 10 commands are being executed at the same time in your system, right? Then how it would be handled? All the commands will be get loaded into the real memory and let ID created. Then these processes will be submitted to the processor one by one. There is some queue maintained there. So once the process is created that will be ready for execution, then that process will be scheduled for the processor. Then your processor will take the command and will execute it. Then it will generate an output for you. Are we good with this flow? Of course, we don't need to worry about too much about all of these, but having this information, right, will help us having some confidence while we are working on. That's the reason I'm covering some background stuff, right? Now, whenever the processor is executing a command, right, sometimes, right, the command will generate output. Sometimes the command may not generate output. Sometimes the command may take longer time as well, correct? Whenever you run ls command, maybe sometimes within milliseconds you will get output. Hey, these are the list of files and directories. But it's not the same case for every command, right? As of now, how much time that it is taking, guys, for you to have the to get output for every command that I talked about? ls command, touch command, mkdir. Within milliseconds, I'm able to get output, right? But sometimes there will be some commands which you run, which will take longer time. In that situation, your processor cannot spend the time on the same command for continuously, right? Let's say my command take 30 minutes to get output. Do you think your processor will be spending 30 minutes on the single command to give you the output? No. Why? If your processor is running on one single command for longer time, what about the other commands that are being executed by someone else? It's a single system being used by multiple people, right? In a way, let's say at the end of the day, this system I'm going to use to run a website. I have thousands of people who are accessing my website. All the 1,000 connections, all the 1,000 users requests should be handled at the same time, right? Somehow. So technically, it should not spend a time on one single command, one single instruction, right? So if at all the command is taking very long time to complete, rather spending the time continuously on one single, it will try to put that command into the waiting state. Hey, you wait for some time, let me handle other command. After some time, again your command will go for the schedule, it will be executed again. That's how like the CPU is, the processor is spending like, for 1 millisecond for one command, another millisecond for another command, another millisecond for another command. Again at fourth millisecond, you take the first command again, right? That's how it will try to balance the things so that everyone will feel that my commands are being executed at the same time. But in the reality, each time only one process thread that it is going to execute. Since the delay will be very milliseconds, we can't recognize those delays, but yeah, that's how it works, guys. So whenever the process is completed, then your process will be terminated. That means process will be removed from your real memory space. What does it mean, guys? When the process is terminated, that means you got your output and the process related information will be completely removed from the real memory space. Why? I don't want that data to be in my real memory because you got the output. Remove it from the queue. Right? So sometimes what will happen, even if the process is completed in the sense you got your output, your command is completed. Sometimes, though it is completed, still your process related information will not be removed from the real memory. That kind of the processes are called as a zombie processes. Tell me, guys, zombie process is the good sign or bad sign? This is a bad sign because let's say I have 1 GB RAM. If I have 1 GB RAM in my system, all the commands are occupying the 1 GB space and those are not getting deleted even after completion, then your RAM will be filled up. After some time, there will be no space in the RAM to hold any new upcoming commands because it's filled up with some data which is not releasing, right? It's not a good sign. So we should not be having any zombie processes in a system. If at all for any reason, if there are some zombie processes, we should go on to clean them up. I'll definitely talk about the commands and all, how to see them, how to clean up all these things. But overall, this is the concept, guys. Out of this whole story, can I use this statement at this time? If anything has to be done on the Linux system, that must be created as a process. There is no other way. Without processes getting created, you will never ever, like, it will not do any kind of the task. The process must be created for any activity that you are trying to. It could be as simple as listing the files, or it could be a bigger activity, whatever it is. Agree? That means, so anything that you wanted to do with your Linux system, the process has to be created, process ID will be created, it will go into the RAM queue, it will schedule for the processor will execute it, and it will terminate it. It will remove that content from the RAM again. That's the process that happens in a backend. Even here, you see, ls command, I got some output. Yes, definitely in the backend, your ls is added into the real memory, scheduled for the processor is executed, terminated, remove it from RAM, you got output. Yes, whole stuff is done backend. So you are interested on looking at the processes which are currently running in. PS is PS hyphen EF. EF are the flags, guys. Like, we know that we can give the flags for the commands, right? So E and F both are the flags that I can give. PS hyphen EF is the command to see the processes that are currently running in the system. You see here this output. The last column is talking about the command that is being executed, or I can even call it as a process that is being executed. Both are kind of same. So all these are the processes or the commands that are being executed, which are currently running in the system, which are currently there in the real memory queue. All these are. Any reason that these processes are still showing, or when I say currently running, right? All these processes are not terminated. These are currently there in the RAM. These are currently executed by the processor. Any reason, guys, why these processes are not terminated? Like our ls command is terminated immediately, right, after I got the output. Why these processes are not terminated, which are still running in the system, right? So all these are the processes which are ensuring that your operating system is up and running. Got me? If your operating system should be working, definitely there should be some processes that are doing this job, right? So all these are the mandatory processes which needs to be continuously up and running on the system to ensure that your operating system is running fine, which will be available for us to run any further commands. So we don't need to worry about what are these commands, what are these processes. These are all system related mandatory processes which will be ensuring that your system is up and running fine. So let me take one other duplicate session. Duplicate session in the sense, it's kind of one more login. At a time, multiple people can log into same server, right? Yes or no? Just matter of having the IP address and the key file. We can log in multiple sessions as well. I have 2 sessions now. So can I use this statement at this time? Let's say I'll go back to my other window, VI. So can I use this statement, guys? Currently, I executed the VI command. Do you think the VI command is completed, terminated? No, right? I'm currently inside the VI editor. That means my VI editor My VI command might have been loaded into the real memory scheduled for the processor. Processor is currently working on my VI command. The VI command is not terminated. Why? I'm currently inside it. I'm still using. So can I see this VI command in the RAM in the process table? That's the reason I have taken another terminal here. Now let me do ps-ef just to see what is there. You see somewhere, you see this guys, vi and vim both are same guys. Okay, it is showing the complete path. You see the vi f9. So that means what? It is proving that yes, someone tried executing a command that is created as a process. The process is loaded into real memory. This process is executed by a user called root, who is called as a process owner, and this process is currently assigned with a number called process ID, and I can see the process ID over there, and we can see the parent process ID as well. Process ID is the one which is allocated for your process. This process might have been created using another process, right? That is called as a parent process. So there should be a process ID called 2287 somewhere. You see this here, 2287. 2287 is the process ID of a bash shell. You see, bash. So bash shell is running on my system. The bash shell is also running as a process. The bash shell is running as 2287 ID, that is acting as a parent to run the vi command, and that's where it is. Of course, I'm going a little deeper, but yeah, just need the strong Linux basics, guys. That makes sense, right? And I'm sure that the bash shell is also running as a process in my system, and that is actually running with the 2287. The bash shell is actually, we already know, right? The bash shell will take your command, will make the things. So the bash shell taken the responsibility to run your command, which is now a parent, and the VI is running with the 4057 process ID. So clear. Now in the other terminal, once you come out, I came out from this VI. Do you think we can see this VI entry in the ps-ef? No. Why? You came out, process is terminated, it need not to be in the RAM, right? It is removed, and you don't see that entry anymore here. Only the running active one you should be able to see in the ps-ef. Are we good with this? Now we can see here that the process name, the process is created by which user, process ID, parent process, and you can even see here some of the processes are showing EC2 user, like which user is executed the command, that user will be showing here, who is the process owner actually. I'm running VA command one more time just to see the things. Now you should be able to see the command again. This is the process ID generated. Sometimes if you don't want the process to be running, you can even kill the process manually, guys, right? Forcefully you can kill the ID. When you kill that process ID, right, this particular process will be forcefully terminated. You see in the other window, you are inside the VA editor, right? But somehow I killed it. Whether I am playing in the two different screens, at the end of the day, both are same server, right? It's happening in the single system. So I kill the process ID. You see that your VA editor got killed completely. So that's how we can forcefully kill the process as well if you don't want it to be running using the kill command. that's the story for today. Right, so the reason why I have introduced the process today, because tomorrow when I get into the DevOps of services, we will be heavily working on these processes, right? To start the process, stop it, terminate it, a lot of things. So that's the reason, right? So as I see, of course, we are done for today, guys, with these basics. We'll continue the process session tomorrow as well, right? Now, getting into the questionnaire, right? Who is doing what on this system? Like, which user has killed this process? Which user has created a directory? Which user has did what? If we need to monitor all of these to know which user is doing what, it is possible, but not by default, right? By default, it is not giving all this flexibility in a Linux operating system. But if we wanted to know all of those, yes, we need to do some extra settings, extra configuration. Yes, it is possible. Any other questions? Do let me know, guys, or else we are good for today. We just need to understand the terminology called what is process, what is process ID, and the regular file, binary file, the absolute relative path, right? And how to look for the process information using ps command, right? The parent process ID. These are the few terminologies that we should be familiar with. Hope you are all good with this. If any questions, do let me know, or else we are good for today. Okay, looks good. I don't see any questions in the chart. Thank you, team, for your time. Right. So help me, guys, if I'm going slow or fast. But for me, I'm going really very slow. It's just that for the same concept, I'm covering multiple scenarios, multiple discussions. I'm giving more text to understand. You may think it may be a little faster. Yeah, if it is still, I'll go a little slower as well. But yeah, let me see that. Thanks for the comment on the chat window. So sometimes if I don't get any acknowledgement, feedback, or questions or echo in the chart, yeah, it will be faster, because I don't know whether you are following or not, right? So as how good you guys are active in the chart to back me, like to echo back to my statements, so my delivery will align to that. Hope you understood that, right? Thank you. Well, team, then thank you very much for your time.